I'm still going to have the knife with me just in case, but there's no shrink wrap here, so I'm pretty sure I don't even need it for this one. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is an unboxing and rambling of Foundations of Rome from Arcane Wonders. We have our coffee top shot with our apparently opened knife, because that happened, and we're going to go ahead and unbox this thing. There's no shrink wrap. It came in a big box with like a plastic bag around it. Not in a bad way, it was very charming and different, but we'll see what goes on the inside of this. This is Foundations of Rome. Give me a second here, coffee's important. Let's go ahead and dive into this one. This is Foundations of Rome by Arcane Wonders. This is in the Dice Towers Essentials line, and it is the most overproduced polyomino game you've ever seen. Like, not even remotely close. This is the most overproduced polyomino game you've ever seen. This is a good game. I've played it once, so take my opinion with a grain of salt, but I played it once a long time ago before I was doing a why I backed or should you have backed, I can't remember the title, but it's something to do with Foundations of Rome because I actually had not backed it, and I wanted to do a should you back or past tense backing video on it, but I wanted to play it first, and so I reached out to Arcane Wonders. I got a gameplay on TTS, and then I promptly backed it because it was really fun, and I wrote it off as being a overproduced polyomino game, which it is an overproduced polyomino game, but it's a very good overproduced polyomino game. Let's go ahead and talk about this one. Let's see if we can get this on camera. It may not even be functional. I mean, honestly, my camera, boom, there we go. If I show you the top shot there, you'll get a sense for how this is. Oh, wow, 1 second. Let's go ahead and show you some things. The top shot, it came remarkably close to my camera. This is a big box, and you have to take it off from the top. We got some things on the box, too. Let's see if we can show you some stuff here. So, if we show you this over here, let's do a top shot over here. This is the top of the camera over here, the top of the box, the back of the Arcane Wonders box. We have Foundations of Rome, we have monuments and extra modules, which I should have all of those in here. And this is a polyomino game. Become an architect of Rome. Build out, bid, or not really bid so much as buy your lots of land, and then become an architect of those lots of land by building your buildings, these buildings in there. This is very cool looking. Sorry, give me a second here. Sorry, I'm showing it to you, but I want to see it as well. These are the buildings. These are the trays. You're going to have your, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. You have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 player trays. I don't know if I'd ever play this at 5. I've only played it once, and I believe it was a 3-player game if I'm not mistaken. But my 3-player game of it led me to believe that this is probably best 2 to 4 players. I'll play it at 5 eventually, I'm sure. I've been playing Planet Unknown recently at 5, and this is a good time to mention, if you're new to the channel, first of all, please subscribe, all those things. I have a Patreon down below, appreciate it. I'll have links down below and things and all those stuff. But this is an unboxing and rambling video, which means I talk about anything and everything. In fact, there's also the possibility this doesn't even make its way into a full video, because I wondered whether I should do an unboxing, although looking from the angle I have here, I have no regrets currently. I'll go all over the place. I'll talk about whatever comes to mind, including Planet Unknown, which I recently played. Planet Unknown, I'll have a review coming on the channel shortly, or depending on when this video goes up, the review already exists on the channel. I already filmed it, I haven't edited it. It'll go up at some time. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly. That's the one. Foundations of Rome does a great job at playing anywhere from 2 to 6 players very well because of the simultaneous play. This does not have simultaneous play. Instead there's a card row of lots you're going to be buying that go down slowly in price. The higher the player count, the less control you have over trying to play that game of watching something slowly decrease. Meaning, you know what? Why don't I just talk about this again when I can show you the actual board or something here. Which the board, I imagine, just based on looking at this here, it looks like we have the 5-player trays, the monuments tray over here, and then this looks like it's everything else off to the side. This, by the way, is a beautiful production. I mean, just the fact that I could look at this, pull this out like that, that is very, very impressive. So let's take a look over here. We have this board over here, which is our monuments board, I imagine. I think so. I just don't remember if it's being separate. This is going to be your player count over here, double layered over here. If you can see that, I don't really know. There we go, double layered. It's going to be, you're going to be creating tokens there, tracking your population, tracking your victory points. That's all great. We're going to have our board up here, which we'll come back to the regular board in a second. But on this board over here, you're going to be placing down cards, and cards will slowly move to the left over here, and that means you're going to start off at 10 money and slowly get progressively cheaper. The problem with a higher player count game is that does mean that you have less agency or less decision space around what you do, because when that 10 card comes out, you can buy it, or you might not have a chance to buy it before your turn comes back in a 5-player game. I find in general when you have card rows, they don't work as well at higher player counts, because to me part of the fun is, ooh, that 10 card, that's really good for me, but do I spend 10 money on it, or do I hope that it filters down to 4 or 6 and I can buy it there? You don't have that choice or you often don't have the choice in a higher player count game. It removes some of the decision space and just adds a degree of frustration that you're not getting the areas that you want. And so that's going to be this board over here. Additionally, we have the actual lots of land board, which are these over here. I am intrigued about the fact that it's not a single board, although in hindsight, now that I realize they're making it fit sideways into this box, it actually kind of makes sense. So you'd have your land up here, you'd have this over here. Obviously, I'm showing you part of this because Top Shot and all that is very zoomed in, but if we push this off to the side and we forget that, then you can see the full board over here, and maybe even set this up, you know, like this. It gives you modularity and flexibility at the same time, and you can even crowd it in there. But for right now, we're going to completely forget this. We're going to completely forget this. We're going to leave these off to the side in the top of the box in this very nice insert. This, I don't know if this is Game Trace or not. I'm not seeing a Game Trace logo on this. This solution over here, amazing. Absolutely amazing. From there, we have our rulebook. Rulebook should be, I think it's fairly short, except it's clearly not very short, because I remember this game being very easy to play and teach, but the rulebook is, what do we got over here? We have a rulebook that is 32 pages long. Also, they're doing Sundrop over here, which means they're licensing Sundrop from Awakened Realms to do this, which is, solid. 31 pages, that seems complete overkill, but I can see over here, a big part of that is just a lot of unnecessary information that is nice to have, but does not a factor for learning the game. So as you go over here, we have the setup, we have this giant page with more game setup, and this you literally pull out your trays, and you're basically good to go, although I imagine these have to be applied to each tray the first time. That's what I'm guessing, looking at this, maybe, no, not sure. We have all these over here. These are the various player indicators. They go on top of your buildings. We'll keep one of these out as we go through this over here. Let's grab the yellow tray, I guess, because they're all going to be the same. We're not going to show you all the trays. Part of the reason I wasn't sure if it would be an unboxing is there enough information to have an interesting unboxing? That's part of the information. So we'll keep this out for now. And you're going to have your trays over here. You have your starting your how to play, and this is your how to play. Your basic turn sequence is you're going to go ahead and take your player turn. You're going to take income, buy a deed, or construct a building. Take an action, call it a day. To take income, you take income based on your buildings. To buy a deed, you're going to buy one of these cards that came out on that board that we skipped over, and constructing a building is constructing a building. Past that, there's a bunch of building rules about adjacency, about population, about victory points and income, but it's very, very simple. I'm surprised. And there we go. That makes much more sense. So the actual rules are from page 7 to 13 in very little text and very graphic and picture heavy. So that is actually easy to dive into. From there we have the Monuments expansion, which I would never play without, to the point that I think it's not ideal that they even offered the game without the Monuments expansion. It's a weird opinion because the base game, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just the Monuments add so much. They cost more, which is a factor, but I have a hard time. I think you're doing the game a disservice if you play this game without the Monuments expansion, which is unfortunate. And I think that giving people the opportunity to have a subpar experience for the sake and trade-off of giving them a cheaper entry point in the pricing, I understand why that would be done, but I wouldn't recommend it. It reminds me of a story a friend of mine once had. We have additional content, we have the trading and stealing module. Now that I don't think I played with. We have all those several gameplay add-on modules. I haven't played with any of those. Now the story that reminds me of is a friend of mine wanted to order pizza for a party he was having like the night after, like 2 nights or something like that. But the situation, I can't remember the exact details, but the situation was such that he wanted to order the pizza today for tomorrow night. And he placed an order, for 20 pies, whatever it was, at the place he was going to. And while talking to the guy, he's like, yeah, this is for tomorrow night. The guy's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, these pizzas are for tomorrow night. They're for a party I'm going to tomorrow night. The guy's like, I'm not selling it to you. He's like, what do you mean you're not selling it to me? He's like, I'm not selling you 20 pizzas for a party you're having tomorrow night. Why would I do that? And he's like, what do you mean, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? This is just pages full of the lore. So they're really adding to the rulebook here, but unnecessarily. Anyways, not unnecessarily, just not in a way that prevents the accessibility here. Then we have the tokens over here. Don't worry, I know I'm in the middle of the story. We'll come back to them. We have the Foundations of Rome, Will of the Consul over here. Don't even know what these are. Don't remember. But, so going back to the story. He's like, well, why wouldn't you sell me the pizza? I don't understand. The guy's like, these pizzas are going to have 20 pizzas with our logo stamped on the box, our name, our store, and it's going to a party tomorrow night. That means people are going to have the pizza. They're going to have the pizza that's a day and a half later. they're not going to think that it's been reheated, because who reheats 20 pizzas to the next night? Why wouldn't you have bought them on the spot? And it's whatever your unique situation is that made it happen, and they're just going to take a look at those pizzas, they're going to have them, they're going to be below the quality we would like to sell people, because we have a certain standard, and they're going to walk away with the impression that our pizzas are not as good as they actually are. Your $20 sale, your 20 pizza sale, the profit of that is not worth the tarnishing of what our pizzas are to whoever's at that party eating our not as ideal pizza. Whatever the end of the story was, I don't remember if my friend got the pizza or not. I'm pretty sure he didn't. Although he placed another order through another phone number and said, hey, we'd like 20 pizzas for a party today. That would work, honestly, or just do 2 separate 10 pizza orders. But the point stuck with me. The point stuck with me a lot, that short-term sales, short-term success is not worth it if your name is being tarnished along the way. Now, obviously, it's possible that this has been happening wherever and however, but the guy knew, look, I need my knife after all, but the guy knew that at least in this case, he could prevent that happening. And same idea over here. I think that playing the game without the Monuments expansion is removing such a key impact of what the game could be. And yes, I know I have not played it without the Monuments expansion, but it's such a huge part of it that's simple, does not take a lot of extra, but really adds to the experience, that I think selling the game without it, while it does give people the, hey, now you can get it at a cheaper price point, I think it does a disservice to the game. Again, with the caveat that I haven't actually played without it, so, my opinion is limited. Let's go and open these. We have the planning and the return. Don't know what half this stuff is. For me, I just remember the expansion, the monuments. I remember the base game of just the cars that you're buying with plots of land, the sense of escalation across those 3 ages. I don't remember a lot of these little module things. I don't remember what they are, what they do, any of that stuff. I hope to be diving into this week. Although again, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly means that this week could be who knows what for as far as you're concerned. Efficient. Each of your size 2 commercial buildings provides +1 silver. What is this? I like this. I like this. Player roles. You start the game with an additional 5 silver. That could be huge early game. Whenever you purchase a D card, you may pay -1 silver if it's orthogonally adjacent to another lot you own, which you already want to do. This is fun. I like these things. This is good. What is this? I don't know what this is. Abrupt taxation. You may discard this card at any time in your turn. All of the players must pay 7 silver to the bank. If a player cannot, they pay as much silver as they are able. I don't know what's going on here, but this is powers and abilities, and I like this kind of situation, so I'm going to be happy with all this stuff over here. And then, of course, we have the specific roles over here, and you're playing on a modified grid as you go through it, depending on the player count. You can see over here, these are blue. That's going to depend on the player count that you're playing with. Over here, we just have all the other cards for the various zones you're playing in. Nothing really interesting there. And that's all of that. Let's go ahead and separate those out into 2 sections. We have our metal coins, which is nice. Although, honestly, from all the stuff that I'm going to ooh and ah over here, the metal coins are not doing it for me. They're fine, but they're very, very shiny. I want to see if I can find a way of making these, less shiny-like, because, I mean, look at that. That's too shiny. They're metal. They're nice. I'm happy I have them. But I may try to sub these out, and no, these are only okay. These are only okay. Again, I'm going to ooh and ah here, but this is not what I'm going to ooh and ah over. I'm going to go, Top Shelf Gamers, where I usually get my coins. I'm going to see if they have some metal Roman coins, because I think I have some, actually. The ones I have for brass, I have some extra coins for brass that I use see, these actually have a little more wear to them. I wonder what happened there. These feel like they have a drop more wear. They're still not amazing, but I may try to replace these for a different game entirely and get some other metal coins. It really feels like these are weathered and worn, and the larger coins are not. I wonder if it's a manufacturing thing. I don't know. Again, not a real complaint, just you see enough things in life that you gotta ooh and ah over some things and not bother oohing and ahs over others. You gotta save your oohing and ahs. If every single thing you see, if every game is a 5, if every game is like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, then it's not really that amazing. We have objectives. Minimalist, fewest number of buildings. They're all worth 8 points, it looks like. We have individualist, fewest civic buildings. We have the socialite, fewest commercial buildings, fewest size 2 buildings. So a whole bunch of objectives here. Again, don't know much about them yet, but I'll take them. I'm happy for those. We'll get to all the shiny bits in a second, by the way. But where was I? I was talking about pizza. I was talking about standards. I can't remember what else I was talking about. We have monuments. These are the specific monuments with their abilities. These will be on the board. Players will have the opportunity to buy these. We have Circus Maximus. Requirements. You must have 14 plus deed cards in your discard pile over here. We have the Colosseum. When built, each player with at least 1 adjacent building gains 3 silver. So he's going to give you different, things to do over here. Different stuff, different benefits as to why you'd own these. Again, I recommend getting the monuments if you haven't already, or if you pick this up in any way. I hope this has a second Kickstarter, because this is a good game. I expect this to get a lot of hype and buzz. This was on Kickstarter at a time when I didn't really care about turn guide. You may do one of the following. This is the 5-player expansion, I guess. The 5-player expansion. Okay, cool. So, let's put those away. And let's get to the fun part, because I think that's all the boring stuff. Although, I will leave this out, actually. Let's see what we can do here. Because I want to kind of leave it out, because I want to have that board over here. This might be slightly irritating in the way you have to kind of put things away. But it's not that bad. It's not that bad. We can put this off to the side. Just the way you have to tap that in. And let's see what we got here. So, we have two things. We have the monuments. Oh, and I left these on top, which is a good thing. We're coming back to that, so that's fine. Let's pull this out. These are just going to slide out like this. That looks like it falls down, so they're not individual shells, and I do want to be mindful that they don't fall off the edge here. But here is the oohing and ahs of this building over here. So, let's see if we can pull this off. Let's see what we can do over here, because this should come off without too much difficulty, he says. Not uncertain. Uncertain. There we go. Okay. So it fits on nicely, which is solid for holding your things in place. Then we have these over here, which is very interesting in the way that does that. Very interesting solutions. Very intrigued. Okay. So let's take a look at some of these buildings here. Let's move this off to the side, and we'll come back to it as we start going through the monuments and the buildings and all those things. For right now, I just want to show you some stuff. So let me grab this over here. Let me see how these work. Honestly, I don't remember if these have specific ways that they should go on certain buildings. So I'm going to put one out, but bear with me as I don't know how this actually goes. I'm just going to show you for the sake of showing you, and then I'll properly do it later. But for right now, let's show you a basic building. What's the most basic building we can show you? A size 1 building. This over here would be a very nice, and this is sun-dropped. You can get the game in sun-dropped or not sun-dropped. Looking at it sun-dropped, I have no regrets about my choice over here. So, this over here is a sun-dropped building for Foundations of Rome. They're only going to get cooler. And I'm going to go ahead and construct some on the polyomino board so you can take a look. Let me just smooth this down over here so we don't have these weird ridges from where I pulled that off. That's going to be the building there. Let's take a look at... Oh, we have this. Okay, so if you see over here, we can see that that's a domūs, which means it's a one population building. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. And I think this is a one-time thing. But let's just show you how this works. I believe it's one time. I could be wrong. Again, it's been a while since I played. I remember liking it. I remember the core concepts. But I could be wrong. So this over here, you got that matching up, the half circle. And this is obviously because of sun drop. You can't really put that in. Let me just put that. Let me see what I can do here. Pushing, 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 pushing. Okay, so here's the good news, bad news, okay? The good news is it goes in very nicely. The bad news is I really, 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 really hope that's supposed to go in that one, because I'm not going to put the rest in, just for context, at least not now until I verify, because that went in so tightly that I don't know if it's ever coming out. Like, ever coming out. That is good and bad. It's good because it means that once you get it in, it's awesome. If it's supposed to come out, we're going to have a problem. And I will do the rest of these later because it's going to be bad enough. I'm going to have to like pry in there with a knife or something. So make sure to be very careful that you're putting the right ones in as you go through this. Otherwise, you may have a problem. But yeah, either way, let's keep going through this. So, I'm not going to show you duplicates. I'm going to show you this. Are they different between factions? I don't think they are. We'll take a look when we're done. But I don't think they are, because if they are, I'll have to show you all the faction boxes. Look at these. This is easily the most premium polyomino game you will have ever played. Again, completely over the top. You're talking about $150, $170, wherever the all-in was, to get this polyomino game played. And the left side is civic buildings, the right side is the economic buildings. But what you have here with this tray is you pull out the tray and you're ready to play. There's no setup. You pull out the tray, boom, you're good to go. This is a game that will set up in like, I have to imagine 5 minutes or less, maybe 10 minutes tops. The putting it away, assuming you're playing with other players, that will take you, again, if everyone's putting away their own thing, you're talking 5 to 10 minutes for teardown as well. This is a surprisingly accessible thing, meaning despite the big box production, they did an amazing job making this a game that is easy to table, which is so ridiculously valuable. Look at this polyomino game. It's over the top. It's crazy. Emerson Matsuuchi, I believe, the designer of Century Spice Road, Century Golem Edition, all those games, as well as others as well. It's insanity. Absolute insanity. I'm just going to show you all these buildings, and then we're going to go through the monuments. If you're bored, by the way, timestamp and jump to the monuments. Those are worth checking out, because you're going to find more of your standard polyomino shapes. Your center player buildings, the basic ones, mostly come in more, what's the word for it? Boring shapes? I mean, that's not the word for it, but they're like, there's no interesting, well, this is the most interesting one you have, the standard L-shaped polyomino. The rest of them are going to be 1s and 2s and a square. You have this really long one over here that's super cool, but again, it's basically a 5-shaped polyomino. The general idea of the game is you're trying to buy these various sections on the board. You're trying to build out your own civic area where you can build your tiles. You will not build everything on your board, but you have your own unique buildings that you can place out that are ridiculously cool. You're trying to be mindful of adjacencies and placing your own buildings and trying to figure out the best way you can score and take off all these, benefit from all those adjacencies areas, I'm going to have to go through this and actually put, if I'm trying to play this tomorrow night, I just realized. And if I'm trying to play this tomorrow night, I have to go through at least 4 of these, because I'm trying to have a 4-player game. I'm going to have to go through at least 4 of these, and put down all the specific things. And rest assured, or not rest assured so much as, I guarantee you, I'm not trusting anyone else to do their own boards, given what I said about how hard those are to take out. I'm going to do all of them myself, and that means I need to set aside about 40 minutes of a one-time setup. It's a one-time thing, it's not the end of the world, but it is something I'll have to do as a one-time thing. This is so cool. I'm looking forward to tabling this. It's been a while. I actually just did a video. I filmed a video with Austin Harrison from IV Games. Don't know when that video is going up. Can't remember exactly, but it's going up soon. And one of the things he expressed is he expressed how excited he was for the Foundations of Rome, and mentioned that he was a little worried because he had played this on TTS, and he had only played this on TTS a lot, but he was worried that the real game would be difficult to table, and because of that, would go down, and he'd prefer the TTS version. And I told him, I said, I don't have my copy yet, it's coming soon, but at the time I had the tracking information. I said, but the nature of what they did with the game, and the side box here, I said, if they manage to do what they were trying to do, this should be an easy game to table. I'm feeling very optimistic. So let's take a look here. And we're going to keep going through a few more of the player board stuff, just going through all these so you can see these, and then we'll dive into the other. Now, back when this was on Kickstarter, I did not back it initially, the nature of doing that video. I'll link to the video down below, you can check that out. The one I did about, why I didn't back it and then why I did. But basically, I remember I just started doing Kickstarter videos about, weekly videos. I don't even remember if it was weekly yet. When I first started doing my to back or not to back Kickstarter roundups, they weren't consistently weekly. It was kind of like, every week and a half or every 2 weeks or whatever it was. Whenever I had time, I'd get to one. And I started doing them weekly because I realized when I didn't do them weekly, I ended up having like 20 campaigns to cover and it was too much. And so this was way back then. It was when I was just starting getting to all the consistent weekly Kickstarter coverage. And to that end, I remember having a video where I was talking about different upcoming campaigns I was excited about. Ooh, this is a fun game. What was I excited about? I did a video about 5 games I was excited about. There was 7th Citadel. I don't remember what else was there. I don't remember what else. It was 7th Citadel, and then I think we can call it a wrap on this one for now. 7th Citadel, and then a few other games. I don't remember what it was. Oh, we can't wrap this. I need to keep this out because we're going to show you some things in a second. You know what? Let's put this up top over here. Oh my gosh, now I want to go check out the video. I'll link to that one down below. But in that video, I got a few comments from people. I got a comment from somebody in particular who had said something along the lines of, hey, what are your thoughts on Foundations of Rome and the Dark Tower one? I think it's called the Dark Tower. That's the one with the machine and the and rolling dice, whatever it is. These, by the way, are the monuments. They're going to be very, very cool. And I remember, let's do the board after. And I remember giving the reasons why I wasn't backing those or why I wasn't interested in them. I was intrigued by both, but, you have to make decisions. Whether it's 2 years ago or today, you always have to make decisions. So this is going to be your classic T-shaped polyomino, but unlike your classic T-shaped polyomino, this is what it looks like. This is the presence it has on the board. So that's insane. And so that's basically, I don't even know how you track these. Do you put your own markers? I'm going to have to double check how these are actually tracked in any of these things, because these have, these might be the black ones. These have the black tiles because there's no black over here. That was also in the starting pack. Again, I need to double check to be certain. I may or may not show you all of these. These are just too cool not to, though. And so yeah, I'll link to that as well. But I remember I wasn't interested in the Dark Tower, and for what it's worth, I'm still not interested in the Dark Tower. Don't get me wrong, I'd happily play the game, and I'd like to get it tabled eventually, but not like $300 interested in it. It looks cool, and I want to try it for the sake of trying it. I just don't imagine it would stay. I'm not intrigued enough by it, although I might play it and then be like, oh my gosh, this is the best game ever. But right now, I'm just kind of not intrigued enough to heavily seek it out. I'd love to, like, if I could reach out, maybe I'll reach out to the publisher at some point, but I don't know. I try not to ask for review copies for things I wouldn't have bought, unless the publisher wants me to, whatever. Whole longer story there. But, anyways, what was I saying? I was saying that Foundations of Rome looked like an overpriced polyomino game until I played it. It's nothing to say there's a problem with that. Most of the games I back are overpriced something else. I back overpriced Euros, I back overpriced dungeon crawlers, I back overpriced deluxeified experiences. I don't know why I was willing to ignore a polyomino game, maybe just because I thought this wouldn't stand out. And I remember I watched Becca Scott, if I'm not mistaken, playing Game the Game, or whatever it was called, on Geek and Sundry, the series she had there. And I remember not being overly intrigued by it. I thought it looked cool, but I wasn't overly intrigued, not like, again, not $170, $200 intrigued. But then I played it and was like, this is actually a very good game. Very simple, very accessible. It's not breaking any, banks or not breaking the mold in terms of any specific new mechanics, but it is combining mechanics in a good way. But that game is where I was like, okay, I'm in. And that's even at the higher like late pledge pricing and whatnot. But it was worth it. It was worth it for this. And so I'm hoping this one holds up. I will have coverage probably soon. Again, the very nature of these things, I always have a backlog of things. And right now, I have such a backlog of unboxings right now. It's ridiculous the amount of stuff I currently have. And I don't like doing unboxings that frequently. Like once a week is pushing it already for me. And right now I feel I have to go to above once a week just to keep up with the stuff that's finally starting to flood in, which is, it's going to get messy. So I apologize in advance for all the unboxings. Look at this piece. Look at that. That's a standard 5-piece. But again, this is what your standard 5-piece looks like. It's a whole different ballpark. It's a game changer. It's absolutely insane. I cannot wait to table this. I have high hopes for where this game ends up in my collection. Like, very high hopes. On an unrelated note, I'm pretty sure I jabbed a splinter into my foot while we're talking. Like, I was kicking around under my desk, my feet were moving around, and I just got like a jabbing pain as if I hit a splinter. I was kind of hoping it would go away. It hasn't gone away. It's just still present on my foot. I can't tell if I have a little piece of wood jutting into my foot. I'll check later. There's no rush now. Anyways, we got this over here. And people are like, oh my gosh, Alex, just pause the video. Do a cut or something like that. I'm like, it's a splinter. What's the worst that can possibly happen? I'll pull off my sock later. It'll be oozing blood or something like that. I don't know why I talk about these things in videos. These are so cool. These are so cool. I'm sorry. These are just ridiculously... I cannot wait to table this. I cannot wait to table this. This is... I'm aiming for tomorrow night. I'm hoping it'll happen. It may or may not, but I'm hoping it'll happen. It's just, let me show you one more here, or two more, or whatever more. All of the buildings. I don't even know which ones I showed you at this point. And then I'm going to set them up on the actual table so you can get a sense of how it would look. It'll be only a light sense because you won't get the other player's colors that you'd ideally want to have. You won't see that whole sense of ownership of the board, but at least it will be something. So, if we take this, and if we take this, and if we start grabbing this, and I'm going to have to be mindful of what I take from where to remember, because until I get those markers on them, I don't have a historic aspect of where they went. So this one I'll take because it's unique, so we can toss that over there like so. Let's put that there. We got zoomed in, perfect. We're going to grab this and toss this over here. That's another unique one. We're going to have our player colors that we'll put over here. Let's grab our player sets and start putting some buildings down. We have our long building that slots down over there. And then we're going to go ahead and put this one down over here. And we'll go ahead and grab one of these over here, slotting into there. And then we'll grab another one of these and put this just around the corner like so. And this is what the board slowly starts to develop like. I hope I'm going to try to do a gameplay on camera of this video as well. I'm going to play it myself, but then I'm going to do a separate gameplay on camera because how could I not? How could I not do a visual aspect of watching this board develop? I mean, let me just go ahead and pick this up for the front camera as well so you get a sense. You see the top camera already, but for the front camera, I mean, this is what it looks like. This is what your board is developing as you play it. It's just turning into this ridiculously cool 3D city, completely over the top, perhaps unnecessary, but very, very premium. Like I said already, I have premium Euros, I have premium dungeon crawlers. I don't know why I shouldn't have a premium whatever this is. It's just incredible. I'm very excited. That's a problem. I don't love how these go in here because you see, this is where I'm already not sure how this goes back. Did I do it? You see this part, they did a great job on these trays. That's actually a little annoying. I'm gonna have to figure out a solution here. Not gonna be the hardest solution, but this is actually worth noting for your own board, okay? These will have the symbol in there, so they'll slot down to the specific regions, and you have it locked in. That way you don't confuse this with this. Now, the thing that I do have to be mindful of is the orientation, because the orientation will matter in terms of the buildings you have. In fact, I may have already done it incorrectly. Let's take a look with the original and see, because this has to go down on top. And I can see that I did it incorrectly. That one's correct. This one is going to be like that, and then that should slot on nicely. So we're good. We're good there. That's all fine. But over here, same potential issue. Over here, how do I know that this one goes here as opposed to this, or that goes there as opposed to that? How do I know? And the answer is I don't until I grab this and put it on, and that doesn't fit at all, which means I probably did that wrong. That goes like that. There we go. Okay, nope. There we go. It looks like it's sort of fitting. I can't tell what I'm doing wrong, but it feels like I'm doing something wrong. Something totally wrong. That has to go up there. So how does this go? No. What did I do wrong? What did I do? That goes like that. This might turn around like this. Is that what's going on? That is much better without being perfect. See, this is the only part that's a problem. How did I do this? That would be there. That would be there. No, I'm doing this wrong. Maybe? Am I? I don't know. I'm a little worried about jabbing this down on top of this. Oh, maybe that turned this like that? I think that was... there we go. We're making progress. Okay, this is where it's a bit of a problem. That's like that. That one has to rotate like this. That doesn't make sense. I didn't take that one out. Or maybe I did when I was unboxing. Oh, that's right. When I was doing the... Even just the basic putting things in. And I slotted that like that. See, this is the problem. There we go. Mostly. Nope, this turns around like this. Okay, so I'm learning that there's definitely something... There's a right way and a wrong way to do all of this. I got the right way. Fortunately, I have it on camera. I may have to take a picture and put it in the box. You know those boxes? In fact, even right now, it's not clicking permanently into place right now, so I'm wondering still if I did it correctly. Because in theory, these should click in. I'll have to take a look at my original video that I put out, because right now, this is coming off, which is not necessarily a problem. I don't know if this one's supposed to stick. This one sticks. No, this one doesn't stick either. Doesn't stick either, so that's fine. So I think we're fine. And then as far as these unboxings, we have 5 other trays over here. It looks like they are exactly the same. Just looking at them over here, it looks like they're exactly the same as you go through them, so I'm not going to bother doing an unboxing of all of those. But yeah, I will have to find some sort of a solution, or just a picture of some sort to put them down there. This goes like this. This goes like this. 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 There we go. Got it. Got it. And then this will go in here, up top. And that, I don't know if that part's necessary, by the way, but until I'm sure it's not, you can bet I'm going to be putting it. This is one box that will 100% not be going on its side, by the way. It'll never go on its side. It'll always be like this over here. And then we can put away the rest of the box, which will be in this original tray, which is where those tokens were. So, this is Foundations of Rome. Like I said already, I will have a gameplay. Almost certainly, I can't imagine. I just want to have a gameplay. It's possible I'll do a gameplay over on Crackle's channel with him if he's playing this. But otherwise, like, I'd love to play this with my wife. She and I like polyomino games. I see no reason not to table this one. And this is just very, very cool. And just looks like a cool thing. And looking like a cool thing is it's worth showing. I don't know. But yeah, we'll try to have a gameplay. I'll try to have something like that, as well as obviously review coverage once I have a chance to dive into a few things. Not necessarily all the expansions. Something I've learned, practically speaking, is don't try... maybe I need the rulebook? Yeah, let's take the rulebook out, because I'm gonna start diving into this shortly. But something I've learned the hard way is not to try to review all the expansions before covering a game, or all the modules, because when that happens, when I put that barrier onto myself, which I've done at times, I find that, practically speaking, the review doesn't really happen. Because if I want to try every single module... Oh, I have one more thing. I forgot. One more thing. Although I have to figure out where the one more thing goes, which is the one thing I'm a little bit concerned about. But I'll check up on the internet for that. That's slid down very, 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 very relaxing. So, the one more thing is series. The solo mode over here. We have the solo mode. But going back to what I was saying a second to actually finish the train of thought, I find that if I try to play all the modules, then I just don't review the game at all, because I want to review the game, but then I'm like, well, I haven't played the module. And that could go on for a very long time. Because sometimes I just don't want to play the modules, because I'm enjoying the base game and I don't feel the need to add everything. Would the ideal coverage involve me covering all the modules? Absolutely it would. That's trading and stealing. That feels like it should be part of what I have over here, but I don't know. But yeah, so I want to cover everything. It would be the ideal coverage, but the balance is I also want to treat games to a certain extent. I can't do it perfectly. I want to treat games to a certain extent the way I would as if I was just an owner and not just a content creator. I don't want to rush every single video. I don't want to play every single thing that I wouldn't normally play just for the sake of having the coverage. And so I don't always do so. And I make sacrifices and trade-offs of what I'm willing to do, of when I'm gonna, push for a few extra games of a game. Like even right now, Foundations of Rome is the kind of game that normally, if I weren't doing content creation, I might just play the game and then come back to it in 3 weeks, and then play the game again 2-3 weeks later. But right now I always have the mindfulness. This is a solo mode, haven't read this at all. I'll dive into it at some point. I may or may not review it, going back to what I'm saying over here. It's already a balance to try to expose myself to a game as much as possible in a way that's similar to what I would as an individual person. But I will be diving into this game 3 or 4 times in the next week so that I can have coverage. I don't even know when this unboxing goes up, so it's entirely possible. I'm going to try to get the unboxing up this week, but I just have so many things. I have so many things. It's not enough time. But either way, we have the miniature over here. We have a statue. Okay, don't know what's going on. Ooh, that's pretty. That's pretty. This is bronze. I'm happy I went through this. This is bronze. I don't know if it's actual bronze, but it's certainly some sort of metal. It's definitely metal. It's very nice. We're going to dump that in this box. We're going to hope that actually fits in this box. It seems to fit. We're going to put the trading and stealing tokens. We're going to punch these out and put those in this box, and then we'll deal with where they actually go later, because I don't imagine they go in this box, but at least this way it's not like a floating extra box. And then this, I'll have to figure out if I can make this fit in here. Based on the core insert, I feel like I can, but I'll try later. We'll see. I don't think it has to be separate. We'll figure it out. Either way, this has been Foundations of Rome. I will be diving into this one as soon as I can. I'll be playing it multiple times because I'm a content creator, and that's what I can do for coverage to actually get a video up before 17 people got a video up, which is a weird balance because ideally I'd like to just do it whenever I can, but there's a balance. It's all a balance. Ultimately, I'm having fun, and that is the most important thing. I mean, selfishly, it's the most important thing. The most important thing is probably actually doing other stuff that aren't as much fun, but for me, this is fun. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and as always, have a good one.